Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Stronger, Deeper Marriage Show, where we help married couples and those thinking about marriage build relationships filled with peace, purpose, and passion. I'm your host, Lucille Reddic, the Harmony Expert, married for 41 years. Bam, bam, bam. My heart is for helping couples communicate, heal, and grow together through every season. And I'm joined by my amazing co host and wellness coach, Pata Hall, who's been married for 38 years. Bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam. And brings powerful insight on emotional, physical, and spiritual health in marriage. Together, our focus is simple: helping couples build marriages that last. Pata.
Hello, everyone. Today we are talking about alignment. And alignment isn't just spiritual, it's physical and emotional too. When marriage operates out of order, stress increases. But when couples align spiritually, emotionally, and even nutritionally, their relationship functions differently. Health, clarity, and connection all work together. I'm so excited for this conversation. Welcome, Damon.
Welcome,
Hey,
welcome. We have named the theme for this show Restoring the Original Blueprint. So today we're honored to welcome Damon Rich, a consultant and clarity coach married for 27 years. Boom, boom, boom. I need me some sound effects. To his amazing wife, Tamika. And she's a lifestyle coach. No, who's a lifestyle coach and a phenomenal baker? Is that what Tamika is?
she's both of those, but she's also a women's clarity coach. So,
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
fantastic. All
Nice.
right. So Damon teaches that marriage was designed for dominion and divine order, and that friction can sharpen your relationship rather than dull it. He's
Mm.
also the author of Things We Forgot Along the Way with the subtitle Echoes of Wisdom. Damon, welcome to the show.
I am so excited. Thank you both for having me on the show. I have, since our initial conversation, I've been waiting for this day. Marriage is my purpose, or pouring into marriage is my purpose. And I see marriage everywhere. So, I'm super excited for the conversation today.
Oh, fantastic. We are super excited too, because that is our passion also. We were just talking to our last guest about it. We didn't know we would make it to the other side like this.
Right, exactly. Because
And
there
we
were
are so
times
thankful.
like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't think you've had a really good marriage until you've had at least five. I don't want to do this anymore. You got to get me like five. I don't want to do this anymore. It's like the days of the week. It's Monday through Friday. I get to those five. Then you reach the weekend of marriage. And so, if you hadn't reached the weekend of marriage, you still got a little ways to go.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And that reminds me, Damon, that people will ask me, what are some things, like Patty, you said earlier, what are the tips to stay in marriage, as long as you have and everything, and I have like a little pat thing that I tell them, if you both, love the Lord, then you should see evidence of that. And, if, you should see how the person uses their resources, their money, that kind of tell you a lot about the things that they value. And then, I come down and I talk to them about, if this don't have to be a deal breaker, but if you're a neat person and they're not a neat person, you just kind of want to know that going in, so you know that what you're going to deal with. But I'll tell them at the end, I don't care how much you love the person or know the person, you're still going to wake up probably about 6 months in and say, what have I done?
Yes, yes. Or in my case, walking out of the courthouse because we got married in the courthouse and we
Mhm,
later
mhm.
had a wedding and we both walked in all jolly and happy and then we walked out down the
Like,
courthouse both looking at the opposite side of the walls like what in the world did
ooh.
we just do? Right. And so we started from there. And some people might find this hokey or think like I'm like being um just making up something, but real in reality. So my wife had a black Acura Integra at that time. We pulled out of the parking garage after we got married. We had to wait until our payday to get our marriage license, all of that
Mhm.
good stuff.
Yes.
And we were going, it's in Tallahassee. So we were going to, I want to say Sam Goodies or somewhere. And when you come out, you come down a hill and you come up. And as we were coming up the hill, we saw two distinctly separate rainbows. And we were like, okay,
We did the right thing.
we did
What?
the right thing, God. Okay, you got to help us. But it looks like we're going to take this as a sign we did the right thing.
Oh,
And
what a divine sign.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
That you needed that reassurance and it was right there for you.
absolutely.
Oh, and that's
Absolutely.
something y'all could look back to and everything. So
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can tell you through one of the darkest periods of our marriage, probably about 15, 16 years in, um, we and I tell people this to this day, with what we went through, because infidelity visited our marriage, and what we went through. If I was not 100% sure that my purpose was not tied to my wife, I would not be in the marriage. I was like,
mm,
Mhm.
nothing else mattered. This was something that God wanted, or where God wanted us to be.
Mhm.
Now, of course, she had her own decisions, but for me,
Mhm.
if I had 0.01% that my purpose wasn't, didn't involve my wife, I'd have been like out. But that's how
mm.
certain I am, and that day always echoes in my mind.
Wow.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
Deep.
that
Yes.
is deep. So
Yes.
I'm gonna start with the first question that I have down here for you.
Yeah.
So, with you being married 27 years, what's the real glue that you think keeps your marriage strong?
This is my favorite question, right? I love this question. So you dove right in. You went deep. You went deep real quick.
Yes.
So here's it, often when I'm teaching couples about marriage, those who are married, those who want to be married, I start with that almost this exact same question. I say, what do you believe is the glue to marriage? And I get the traditional answers. I get the communication and common things, and all of the fluff stuff, all of the things that we got from fairy tales. But while those things are important, they're not the glue. Attraction is not the glue. Love is not the glue, which
Mhm.
is that's a hard one for people to digest.
Love
So
is not the glue?
no, ma'am. Friendship isn't even the glue. Friendship is not
Whoa.
the glue, right? So it's not the glue, but the glue actually stares at us from Genesis. If you really unpack Genesis 1 through 3, you will learn so much about marriage, so much. And it's hidden in plain sight, but we don't look at the Bible practically. A lot of times we only look at it spiritually.
Mm.
But there's a practicality there. So we always go through um, 3 questions, and this unveils the glue. One, why marriage? Marriage is the most challenging relationship you will ever have in your life. It's
Yes.
challenging than parenting. It's more challenging than building a career. It is the most challenging career in your life. It is a crucible.
Mm.
Why do you want to do this thing that requires so much sacrifice? So we have couples write that down. Like, why do you want marriage? Forget the person, marriage as a whole. And a lot of times, what that reveals for us is that people don't even understand what marriage really is, right?
Yes.
So,
Right.
why
Mhm.
marriage at all? Then, number two, we ask the question of why this person? Out of all the billions of people on the face of the earth, why this particular person? Why are you choosing to go through this crucible with this particular person? And that unveils some things. But here's the glue. Here's the glue. The third question reveals the glue. What is God's return on investment for bringing the two of you together?
Ooh. Ooh.
Mm.
What does God get out of this? See, marriage has nothing to do with us. Marriage has to do, what does God get out of bringing the two of you together? Sorry, spilled my coffee. but but That's the reality.
Excited.
What
Wow.
does what does God get out of bringing the two of you together? And people they'll argue, oh no, God wants us to love it. Yes, yes, husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church, and we can that's a different conversation. We can go there. But in the beginning, what God did was he says, I came to this place that was out of order. The earth was void and without form. And I'm gonna put it back in order. And then I'm gonna have some trees and some birds and some fish and some some cattle and some snakes even. I'm gonna have everything in this beautiful garden that I've restored order to. Now I need someone who has my character and my nature to keep it in order. So I'm gonna make a man. Then he says, this man is going to need someone to partner with him to accomplish this because he made them both male and female. So you never see the complete comprehensive image of God until man and woman come together
Mm.
because
Mm.
his whole image is part man and is part woman. And when the two
Mhm.
become one, you see the full image of God in the earth, which is why marriage is so attacked, is because the enemy does not want the full image of God represented in the earth. So now God says, now I'm going to bring these two people together and I'm going to give their marriage a job. If your marriage does not have a job, it will eventually fracture at the seams.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
I didn't
mm.
find out the job that our marriage had until year 17, which is why we went through the challenges we went. Our marriage didn't have a job. It didn't show up to work. It didn't show up
Mm.
to work. So God is saying, if your marriage isn't producing something for me, your marriage isn't of me.
Mm.
I'm getting a return on investment. And as a part of you working my investment, you're going to be blessed. But I got to
Mhm.
get something out of your marriage.
Mm, mm, mm. And see, you speaking my language when you say ROI,
Wow.
return
Yes,
on
Return on
investment,
investment.
yes, ma'am.
because I'm
Yes,
an
ma'am.
accountant by
Oh,
trade.
okay,
So when
okay.
you talk to me in those what terms that I can put dollars and cents to, I mean
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
powerful when you think about
That
what is it
is,
that
I never had thought about
God
it
can
that way.
get out of our
Yes.
marriage. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. But you bring up a point though. When people, I guess you're saying they give you a little pushback when you say that our marriage is not necessarily for us to love each other.
Mm.
Yes, we want to love each other, but you said it's as Christ loved the church. If we really unpack that, Christ loved us so much that he came and died.
It was
He
never
d-
about
he
him.
Yeah, it was always about us and his
Mhm.
glory. But he died. He suffered. He kept reaching out for us and and loving us when we were unlovable
Mm-hmm.
and deep in our sin. He kept
Mhm.
searching for us, bringing us back to himself. If that ain't love, that but I mean, it's like you say, that's love in action.
Mhm.
How much did God love us? Yes, he loved us. And that's the example that you're saying we should take away, if I understand you correctly.
And I'm gonna take it just a little bit deeper. You're right
Ooh,
there, right? Yes, ma'am. I'm gonna take it just a little bit deeper though.
Come on
deeper.
in,
Look
come
at
on.
look at it. Christ is the groom,
Mhm.
right? So we are the bride,
Mhm.
right? Now, when we get to heaven, what do we sing about all the time? We're gonna worship God. We're gonna spend all day crying, holy, holy, holy to the Lamb. We're gonna cry, holy, holy. We're gonna surround the throne, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's a return on investment. So when Christ came, he said, I'm the groom. I'm going to get my bride, and our marriage is going to produce something for you, Father. Our marriage is going to produce something for you. So even
Yes.
with that, he had to get uncomfortable because I often I always like to go real practical with the Bible to help people grasp. Now, this is what it looks like, husbands. Just talk to the husbands for a minute.
Okay,
This is
okay.
what it looks like to really love your wife. You are comfortable. You already got your kingdom. You already have your robe. You already have the angelic hosts celebrating you. Everybody thinks you're somebody. And then God says, go get her. Well, God, I don't need her. I got everything I need. No, 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 no. Go get her. You think you've arrived, but I need something to pull out everything I have in you, not just the gifts. I need you to
Mm.
now be a blessing. I need something to pull everything out of you. So Christ got up off of his throne where he was comfortable. He already had a crown. He had nothing to prove. And the Father said to him, I need somebody to go down and get this bride. She a hot mess, right? And he had to get uncomfortable. In order for me to love my wife, and I'm not calling my wife a hot mess, but I have to get uncomfortable to love her. To demonstrate love to my wife, I have to be uncomfortable. I
Mm-hmm.
can't love her from a place of comfort.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when it says that he came down and loved your wife as Christ loved the church, what am I willing to do? What comfort am I willing to sacrifice so that I can
Mm-hmm.
love God's
Mm-hmm.
daughter the
Mm-hmm.
way that he wants
Yeah.
her loved? Right? So
Mm-hmm.
now here's the hardest thing about being a husband. Practical. And I tell young men this all the time. You have to love that woman knowing that she is capable of putting you on the cross.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
love. You have to love her, no, because when Christ came, it was his potential bride who was saying, crucify him.
Yes.
Forgiveness, everyone gets a chance to join the bride, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here it is. His bride was saying, crucify him. You have
Mm-hmm.
to know she's capable of putting you on the cross. Don't mean she will, but she's capable of it. Now, wives, and this is what I tell wives, he's going to have a season of death.
Mm.
Going to go into a tomb. He's going to go in a place where he needs solitude and reconnection with the Father. He's going to. You have to be the first one to the tomb to celebrate the resurrection that Christ does in his life.
Mm.
Wow.
The woman was the first one to the tomb when Jesus went. He's resurrected. She was first one to the tomb. Are you a wife capable of being the first one to the tomb?
And I think that's the question we have to ask ourselves. Um, in a former interview, Pata mentioned at a time that she had to just be a friend to her husband instead of being in that wife role.
Yes. Because the
Whatever
wife role was
season,
not working. Yeah.
hmm whatever
That
But
season he was in, yeah, she had to take a step back and say, I'm not his wife right now. He needs a friend
mm-hmm.
right now. And I think that's so important. You know, do you have anything else to offer with that, Pata?
no, that's just it. It was very difficult for a decision for me to make. And I only made it by the grace of God. And it was only God, like you say, staying in my ear. No, don't leave because, I'm rolling out. This is no, 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 no. And he was just chirping and hollering and screaming, no, 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 no. And then I just heard it. I didn't think of this myself. It came to me. Put the wife over here for now. Put it over here for now. You like this man. You are friends. He's not being a great husband at this particular time, but he's a good man. He's a great man, great father. So I had to remove that in order to be there for him, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
And not just nag and you ain't doing this, not take the wife out. And I had to be that friend and pray us through that situation, be that foundation that he needed for himself. Even if we would have ended up parting ways, I didn't want anything bad to become of him. I still wanted the best for him.
Mm-hmm.
But in that moment, I couldn't worry about we're husband and we're wife and we're doing this. It was just like, okay, let me be friends. Let's focus and let me be here for him as a friend because he needs this as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got through that, I was just like, I didn't even know how I got through that, but it was just prayer. And it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that.
Right. Right.
Because, we're like, no.
I'm out. This is not what I thought it was gonna be. This is not according to the
But
fairy
I
tale
know
that I
as
had.
right,
Hmm.
like you said, as that man, going through that season of death, as you just stated, that
Hmm.
he still needed me. He just didn't know it.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And I love the way you talk, because you give the perfect illustration to what it looks like for a man when he's going through a season of death. He needs his
Mhm.
friends, but often his friends abandon him. Look at again. I see marriage everywhere, right? So when you look at the story of Jesus, he was surrounded by would be brides, 12 of them. All of them
Mm,
betrayed him. All of them abandoned him.
Mhm.
Is mostly a few of them came while he was on the cross, and they were there. And in that season of death, often men have we go into an echo chamber. A lot of men who commit suicide, it happens in their season of death. They have no
Mhm.
one that can hear them. They only see their actions. They never hear their heart.
Mhm.
You have to hear his heart, because we're not always the best with our words. I really protest against the thing that men are not great communicators. We are actually excellent communicators. We just communicate in a different way that is perceived by men, but not often perceived by women. And,
right.
and particularly if women didn't grow up around men. Women who
Gotcha.
grew up around men, they're able to discern. God gives them a level of discernment
Hmm.
of that, and they were trained in the voices, in the speech of men
Hmm.
Mhm.
when we're
Hmm.
silent. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a different thing.
Yeah, I love that you said that they communicate a different way. And I had to learn that. This is gonna sound really funny. Um, because I didn't grow up in the home with my dad in my life day to day after second grade. My parents got divorced between second and third grade. And
Hmm.
so my interactions with men were, my uncles, stuff like that,
Hmm.
sparingly on the holidays and stuff like that. But I remember early in our marriage, Donnie was talking on, that's my husband's name, Donnie. Donnie was talking on the phone, and I would notice, I could tell who he was talking to by the way he sounded. And then another thing was, we had VCRs at that time, and I had to run out, or maybe he had to run to the store. If he had to run to the store right quick, he'd say, "Hey, tell me how the end of the movie ended." This was before the VCR. We didn't have a VCR, is what I'm saying. He'd say, "Tell
Hmm.
me how the movie ended." And he would come back, and I'd tell him, "Oh, they did this, and this happened, and that happened." And then, I'd give him the blow by blow of everything that he missed, right? And
Hmm.
I went to the store one time and I told him the same thing. "Hey, tell me how the movie ends." And he told me they died. That's all
That's
he said is they died. And
You're
so
like, wait
I
a minute. No, no. What about this? What about this?
I realized that women talk in color and men
hmm
talk in black and white. The
It's
end
black and
result
white.
was the end result was all that mattered to him. Really, I didn't even have to tell him all of that stuff. I'm sure he enjoyed it and all of that, but really, what he really wanted to know, I think, was that the person died, or or whatever the end result was, and that was
Yes,
all he gave me. But I wanted the blow by blow.
yes, yes.
But that's the difference in how we communicate, and I brought that up. Do you have a comment for that? And have you seen that also, Damon? Is that what you're talking about too with your communication?
Absolutely. Men are straight to the point in
Mhm.
general. We are like, what's the bottom line? What's
Yes.
the
Mhm.
bottom line? What's the outcome? Right. And
Yes.
then a lot of times what we will do is we will work backwards. So tell me the outcome. Tell me what you want the end state to be. And then I will
Oh
work
gosh.
backwards in my mind to get to how we get there. Because I'm problem solving. Right. So
Mhm.
just tell me, well, I really want to accomplish this and I want to do that. No. What's the outcome? What do you want? Right. And I want to go to dinner. Okay, cool. You want to go to dinner. That's that's it. That's the outcome. Okay, so now I'm thinking through through the day. You want to go to dinner tonight? I'm thinking through the day. Okay, we're gonna go to dinner. In order to get to dinner, she's here. So I need to get home by this time. Okay, babe. So I'm gonna make reservations for 8 o'clock. That should give us enough time to get home, settle down, take a shower, get back out the door, get to where we're going. It give us a little bit of breathing room to deal with traffic. Whatever we're playing, but tell me the final outcome that you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Just give me the final outcome of what you want. When God sent Christ to the earth as a husband, he told him what he wanted the final outcome to be: redeem the bride.
Mm-hmm.
He,
Wow.
I love that.
now
Speak
the
the
process.
truth.
Now the
Yeah.
process came. He didn't tell him all. He knew he would have to sacrifice. He knew he would have to give his life.
Hmm.
Right? He even knew it would be on the cross because as the scripture speaks of Christ. But the end result was redeem the bride,
Mm.
reconcile the bride back to me. Okay,
Speak the
Absolutely.
truth.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Speak
give
the
me the outcome.
truth.
But see, we get all caught up in, well, how am I going to get there? Are you going to send me down? You know, all the other times you done sent down an angel and then they just showed up as men and then you're going to put me on the cross as an angel. Okay, redeem the bride. Nope, nope. I'm
The
going to send
mission.
you a woman. Yeah,
The
we
mission.
that's it. Give us the mission. Give us the
Oh
mission.
my
And
gosh.
what we depend on our wives for in a lot of things is help us fill in the details. Be our eyes and ears where we might not be thinking about something, where
Hmm.
we may have missed something.
Hmm.
But we've
Mm-hmm.
got to agree on the mission. We've got to agree on the outcome. Because if
Mm-hmm.
I thought you wanted to go to dinner and you said, I just want date night. Okay, what do you want? What does that mean? Dinner in a
Mm-hmm.
movie? Is that dinner in a movie, then a walk in the local park? What does
Mm-hmm.
that mean? Oh, I want. Well, you should just plan it. No, no,
Because we
no,
want y'all to figure
no. Oh, I tell wives this so much, and most of them I kind of tick off when I say it. Not really tick off, but they like I don't like you. So I say, listen, how dare you expect more of your husband than you expect of God? They're like, what you mean? Okay, the word says, make thy request known.
Write the
God
vision, make it plain, all of that. I mean, it's several scriptures.
and several of them. But God, who says the word says He knows what we need before we even ask. Yet He still says, "Make thy request known."
Yes.
So how is your husband greater than God?
I don't know, but then
I'm,
God
I'm,
knows it all,
I'm
but
with
He
those
still
women right now. I don't like you right now.
no, because you are speaking the truth. My husband, we always have this conversation. He's black or white. I'm gray. Like
Mhm.
you just said, what is the outcome? Let's get to the mission. I don't need to know, well, if this,
Yeah,
what are you saying? That
yeah,
like
exactly,
no, he was like, pick a side. You're in the middle.
exactly.
Like, ah, gosh.
And I be thinking I'm really communicative in my nature. So I try to make those things plain, exactly what I want. And so I'm different in that way and it has been helpful. Um, but I can see where sometime I have gotten caught up in the minutia of, you know, well, how we gonna do this and how we gonna do that and da 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 da. And, but it's the mission. It don't really matter. And I can remember when I got to a point one time where I just said, "Hey, babe," because he had did what we were gonna do about something, and I would start asking him, "Have you considered this?" Because it's something that the Lord kept bringing up to in my spirit that he hasn't considered this. But instead of saying, "No, I don't think we should do it," I just start asking him,
Right.
"Have you considered this?" And I'll say, "Da da da." But whatever you decide, that's what we gonna do. We gonna still do the mission. So
Mhm.
I found that to be helpful. So if there's any wives listening who are used to being leaders and bosses, and you have that A personality where you just like to take charge and run roughshod over things, because that was me. But I had to take a step back and follow the mission and agree to the mission. And it was something we had agreed on. I'm not saying I'm a doormat or anything like that, but it was a mission that we had agreed on. We just hadn't
Mhm.
agreed on the
The
process of getting
process.
there.
Mhm.
You know
Right.
what that was. And so I would just merely say, add to that, ask the question, have you
Mhm.
considered this? And then you
Yes.
guys agree on how y'all gonna make it to the mission. So I love that.
Right.
But something else
Right.
that I wrote down that you said, Damon,
Mhm.
marriage must have a job, and I put slash purpose. Because that's what I
Yeah.
talk about all the time is living within our purpose. And so I love that you said that your our marriage having a job, because I can see that you can get complacent if your marriage don't have a purpose, a why, a job. So can you
Mhm.
unpack that a little bit more for us?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your and this goes back to when I say return on investment. If your marriage is only about you, the two of you, it doesn't have enough to do, right? And you
Mhm.
will become very complacent. So what happens is a lot of marriages are built on goals. Everybody, a few years ago, relationship goals, and relationship purpose. Hashtag
Mhm.
relationship purpose. Forget relationship because once you get the house with the white picket fence and the nice dog and the two children or the three children, the nice car, you can go on the vacations you want. You can do it. You're gonna look up and you're gonna say something's still missing.
Mhm.
Something's still missing, right? In when I go back to the Bible and I go back to the garden, watch what happened. And this is why you have to stay on mission and why you have to know purpose. If you want to destroy a marriage, here's the enemy's formula has never changed. It's never changed.
Mm,
The first thing he did is he questioned the purpose of the marriage. If you don't know what we are supposed to be doing collectively together for God as a collective, bringing our skills together, then the enemy will come in and question and say, did God really say?
yep.
Did God really say you supposed to be with this woman? Did God really say you supposed to be with this man? Did God really say y'all supposed to have these kids? See, everything the enemy's going to ask you about is going to be it's going to have nothing to do with the purpose. It's going to be about y'all. So it's going to
Mm,
be, is he really the right man for you? Did you really hear God? Because I don't watch, because I've been around ministry for a very long time. I preached my first sermon at 15.
mhm,
Okay.
And I've had an opportunity to kind of be a pastor to pastor. So I've been behind the scenes of ministry a lot. And so what in being behind the scenes and watching ministry, what I will often see is people get off track because the ministry becomes about them. The same thing
mhm,
happens in marriage. The marriage becomes about you, it becomes inward instead of outward. It
mhm,
no longer serves God. So
Mhm.
he came to Eve and he did something real crafty. He told her there was more and God was holding out.
Mhm.
This, ladies, I'm gonna hide on my socials after I say this. Um, women are cursed with the desire for more.
mm,
Always tell you there's more than what God has given you. Now,
mhm,
swing to the men. I ain't gonna leave y'all out there by yourself. Men are cursed with neglect.
mm,
Adam neglected his duties, right?
mhm,
He thought there was more to it than what God and Adam had already said,
Mhm.
mm,
right?
Mhm.
I was just watching, and it's just all over the internet now, especially these younger generation, and that's why young ladies, young men, um, young ladies specifically need women like yourselves who can talk to them about it because they want what you have now without going through what you had to do to get.
Without going through the process.
They
Say
don't
Say
want
that
that.
again.
process,
Say
Say it
that.
again. Say
right?
that again.
They want what you have now without going through the process. So what the enemy does is he says they have a good, solid man that they are supposed to be working with, and the enemy say there's more
Mm-hmm.
every time. There are
Yes.
women who've been in their marriage for years, and the reason they end up stepping out is because he ain't got no ambition. There's more.
Whoa.
Hold on, when my wife
Whoa,
met
you are
me,
stepping on some toes right now.
listen, when my wife met me, I was making $6.42. There is no way in God's green earth a woman would want to holler at me now. Like if I'm making $6.42 in this day and age, or minimum wage is what it was, man, they'd be looking, oh, you lame, you this, you this, you that. At some point, my wife got exhausted. My wife thought I had no ambition. I'm like, babe, my ambition moves differently. So now
Mm-hmm.
I'm 6 figures plus, and you're like, but the average woman wants the 6 figure Damon.
From the
You didn't want
beginning.
Mm-hmm.
the
Yes.
and you
From the
said,
beginning.
yes, ma'am.
No
Right?
struggle love. They don't want to go through that struggle love, right? You know how that young struggle love is.
Yeah, that's what they call it. I'm like, no, it's forming, it's becoming. Here's what
Mm-hmm.
I knew about myself, and I told my wife this. If I had the success I had now and then met you, I may have never chosen you because I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have seen a need for you.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
But we built something together. I
Together.
always wanted to build something with
Together.
the woman I'm going to marry. Not
Right.
Mm-hmm.
already had,
Right. And
right?
Absolutely.
I think that's a definitely a big problem. I met a young man, a young couple, or young man, and he was like, oh, Miss Hall, I want this. He came out to her house. He said, this is what I want right here. I want this house. I'm like, oh, we didn't start right here. Now, thankfully, you guys are starting a little bit better than what we did. But our first apartment was as big as my fist, flooded every other Friday night. Okay. But we was happy with our piecemeal furniture, our two sheets, you know,
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
and
ma'am.
we built something together
Mm-hmm.
because that was the purpose of our marriage, to build a home, to build a family,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I'm hearing, like you said, a lot of especially young women, oh, he got to bank in this, he got to look like this. And they're not doing anything, and they don't look like anything. So how you want a man that's 6 feet, six pack, and you don't even take care of yourself?
See, you trying to drop me out there in that water paddle.
Okay,
See,
I'm gonna stay right here. We gonna
no,
talk.
it's too late now. I'm out there with you.
So we in the deep end, right? We don't left
Yeah,
shower. We out here in the deep end, right?
yeah, we out here in the deep end. We out here in the deep end because here's and I say this, and people say, I had this conversation with a few different young ladies, and they were like, at first they didn't like it, then they had to process it. I said, I hate the what do you bring to the table scenario or that whole conversation. But what I do remind young women of is I say everything that if when I ask most young women, what are you going to, how are you going to add value to his life? Everything that they say, this is the immaturity. Everything that they say is something he can buy. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a cook. If he making good, if he making the kind of money you want him to have, he can hire somebody, a personal chef. Well, I make sure the house stay clean. He can buy a maid. Well, I'm gonna be good in the bedroom. He can buy a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, and so then they'll come back. Well, I make my own money. I'm this and this and that, and so I could do all those things. I say, but you weren't built to. If you had to pay for sex, it'll break you because that one women were not. They were not that's not in a natural thing that a
Not our
woman
design.
would do. Right? It's not your
Mm-hmm.
design. If you had to pay somebody to cook for you, unless you just outright didn't know how to cook, you'll get tired of going to the restaurants every night. It'll
Mm-hmm.
break you. If you had to pay somebody to clean your house, just as a woman and how women are traditionally raised, it would break you. Those are things that would really not sit well with you because it'd make you feel less than because of how you were probably raised. You're not designed to do those things or
Mm-hmm.
pay. I said you can, but you ain't gonna like it.
Yeah. We
You ain't gonna
can, but yeah.
like it. Like it. And I'm just saying that in like we have to work together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We have to work together. And I'm not reducing women to cleaning, cooking, and that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about is we complement each other, because I
Mhm.
know a lot of men who their wives do not cook because they love to cook.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
My brother, he loves to cook. His wife ain't seen the kitchen other than pulling out the plates in years. He loves to cook.
But that works for them, and that's what
Yeah,
people
yeah,
need to understand. What works for one couple may not work for the other couple. You have
yeah,
to
Mm-hmm.
work together to build and find what your flow and what works for you. You
yeah,
know.
yes,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Damon, you brought up something about this ambition because I saw a clip on social media the other day. I don't know if you've ever seen tonight's conversation.
yes, ma'am. That's the one. That's the one. That's the one. I wanted to go pull that young lady to the side, hug her, and rebuke her at the same
Oh,
time. Like, bless your heart.
yeah, but they let her have it though, for real. I was like, yes, she was I feel like she was expecting them to, because I mean the audience was hooping and hollering and going on, and they asked some clarifying questions, and you know, uh, but they let her know that, baby, they gonna never be enough for you. Uh, so when I heard that, she was talking to Patty. I don't know if you hadn't heard the clip, but the woman, she got up there and she asked this panel on tonight's conversation, and she said, "Well, my husband, I think he pays the bills and he takes care of the kids, and he was this amazing person." She mentioned several of his wonderful qualities, but
Mhm.
she said he's not ambitious.
Mm, mm, that one right there.
Baby, do you know how many? If women in that audience was be like, "Well, let me have him.
Yeah,
Let me."
immediately,
Her
immediately.
friend are probably over there saying, "Oh, girl, you shouldn't put up with that,"
Yeah, and be right there waiting.
and be right there waiting for her man.
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
so Damon, what was your thoughts on that? I know you say you wanted to just pull her to the side, and
Uh, ambition. So I think what people think is ambition or lack of it. Um, there was a season in our marriage where my wife said, and she didn't figure it out until later. And this was after we had gone through the darkest season. She didn't figure it out until later. And she said, I thought you were just content. I didn't like you would be content. And I was like, what have I gotten myself into? Because in our early years, of course, we didn't have a lot of money. But I told her one time, I was like, I had a 84 box Chevy. I was like, I'd be content if I was just to get the engine right in this, get it painted, put me some rims on it, get the inside done, fix it up, do all those things. I would be perfectly content if that was the case. Um, and for years, because she didn't ask follow up questions, she thought that meant I didn't want anything. What she didn't realize is I wanted way more than that. But what she had to understand is I wasn't saying I would be content like that's as far as I want, but that my priority was not to have a luxury vehicle. My
hmm
priority was not to have be in designer clothes. I was raised by a very simple man, right?
hmm
Give you another example. Early in our marriage, we had my wife is country girl. She cooks. Like she cooks everything from scratch. She cooks.
Ooh.
Cook. So she would do these big old soul food meals on Sundays. I didn't eat like that. That's not how I was raised. That's not what my mom cooked or whatever. I didn't really like greens. I ain't like they question if I was black. I ain't like no greens. I ain't eating no chitlins. I ain't
You gotta
doing
turn in your card, man. No.
I ain't do
Take his
none
black
of
card. Take his black card.
it. Take it away. Take it away. I ain't do none of that. Now I enjoy collards now. She got me on some stuff. I ain't really even eat mac and cheese, none of that. But
Okay.
yes, yes. It took me time. Lima beans and rice, took me time.
Okay.
So I grew up where there's nights my mama worked, my stepdad worked, and my mom was like, I'm gonna just cook some hot dogs and french fries. My stepdad would eat it like it was a gourmet meal. And
hmm
so my wife was frustrated. She's like, I'm doing all this cooking. I'm doing that. And I said, babe, I didn't ask you to do that.
Mm.
hmm
She was being to me the wife that she thought that her mom had told her to be. Now, my mother-in-law, love her. She was married once, divorced, never married again. So you, even in that's your mom, she's giving you some good information, but you also have to calibrate that because she wasn't married, right, for a long period of time, or she didn't sustain a marriage, right,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the reasons were. But you got to be the wife that I need, and I'm telling you, on a Sunday, I could be happy with a grilled hot dog and some French fries or some potato chips. I'm
Oh,
not.
wow.
I'm a
Okay.
very simple man. I'm a very simple man. So it wasn't about my ambition. It's that
Mm-hmm.
I was content with the things of life. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, even now, my wife wants to move. We're thinking about Tamika wants to move. We're thinking about, hey, let's go to Dallas. Let's go to here. We're thinking about places we want to move because our kids are grown. As soon as
Mm-hmm.
our youngest son gets out of college, graduates from FAMU,
Mm-hmm.
we're like, hey, we're gonna probably make a move because
Mm-hmm.
I want to travel. She's like, no, I want to get a bigger house. Why? I would rather spend my money traveling the globe and seeing places I've only read about than buying a bigger house. Give me a condo in an airport that's got reasonable flights. Let's, let's go. And over time, she's starting to see that simplicity. It isn't
Mm-hmm.
that I wouldn't like, I would love a house that's maybe slightly bigger than what we have, only for because my studio is a shed in the backyard that I've um, built out and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love if my studio was just in my house and I can walk down the hallway to my studio. Yeah,
Mhm.
but it's got to be practical for why I would have a bigger house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
she mistook that as thinking I didn't have any ambition, and she didn't see
Got
it till later because I went from $6.42 an hour, right,
mm-hmm.
to where I'm at now, where she saw continuous progress.
Growth.
You went
Mm-hmm.
from making $26,000 a year to $50,000 a year to
Mm-hmm.
$100,000 a year to
Mhm.
200. She's looking. She's like, "Oh, I see it." Like I've never been content like that. I'm ambitious, but I just ambition for me is not what I own. The things
Yeah.
that I
Mm-hmm.
it's about
Mhm.
lives and set my family up for success.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I
Because
love
with that,
that.
I'm gonna say this with that video, what that young lady missed is, and you're a financial person, so I'm gonna tap into that. If he's paying all the bills, and she even say, I make more money than him. Well, sweetie, we got a problem. Because if he's paying all the bills, what are you doing with your money to build
Mhm.
y'all? Because all of that,
Mhm.
you have 100% disposable income that you can use to invest or whatever. Have you sat down with a financial planner to see how we can move our family forward? And maybe, just maybe, if you did that, it'll take some of the weight off of his shoulders so that he can exercise some of the things that you call lack of ambition.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And if they would get on, have a conversation and get on the same page about what they were going to do with multiplying the resources that God has given us, because when we talk about stewardship, I teach stewardship at my church, a class. Um, the stewardship isn't only about managing the finances. It's also about multiplying. And
Yeah,
so, we know the story of the talents, right? The
right.
ones the one who multiplied and made, it's turned 5 into 10, and then
Mm-hmm.
at the other end of the spectrum, he just buried it. So he
Yeah.
managed it, he kept it, but the
Hmm.
Lord, he took that away. Said, "You evil, wicked servant. You
Hmm.
could at least put my money in the bank where it was multiplied." So there's that multiplication that we're supposed to have. And if she could put her mind and they could put their minds together into purpose and agree on a purpose and a mission, she would no longer think that he was unambitious, because they would both be moving and talking about building
In the
and
same direction.
multiplying over here in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they needed. They need a focus that they both can focus on and work together towards. Give their marriage a job.
Give their marriage a job.
Give their
I
marriage
was gonna
a
see if you was gonna
job.
land there. Get their marriage a job, and look at
Give
what you
that
just
marriage a
did.
job.
You just did exactly again. You showed God wants a return on investment.
Yes, he does. I never
God
thought about it in that way,
I
but
know.
yes.
give God a return on the investment. He said you evil.
Mhm.
Mm.
The
Absolutely.
one that gave God a return on investment, he said, I'm gonna give you more.
Give you more, cuz I see what you can handle.
That's it.
Absolutely. So let me go back to here. something you said. I wrote down that the wife was being what she thought you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And that resonated with me because when I first got married, my mom had always been, harping on, you better keep a clean house, because she had gone through that in her marriage. I think her first marriage was abusive or whatever. And that was a big thing of contention for him is he wanted the house cleaned a certain way or whatever. And so you better learn how to clean the house. Your husband gonna be mad at you. Y'all gonna be fighting and fussing and going on if you can't keep a clean house. So when I got married, I mean, I cooked every day. I washed up all the dishes. I mopped. I cleaned out the table. I vacuumed every day because in my mind, this was what being a good wife was. I
Mm-hmm.
actually started developing some type of hives. And the
Mm-hmm.
type of work that I was doing, I was a letter carrier at the time, so I was out in the elements, and those welts on my skin ended up getting infected. And when I went to the
Mm.
doctor, because I was doing all kinds of things, I started changing up my uh, uh, detergent, what I was eating. I didn't know where these welts and bumps and things were coming from. So I finally had to go to the doctor, right? I go to the doctor and through the questioning process, and we're gonna, have you tested and see if you've got some allergies or whatever. But he asked this question: "Are you stressed?"
Are you stressed?
And I was like, "Well, I don't think so, because I've been used to juggling all these balls, right, in my
Mm-hmm.
life." This was early on in our marriage, and I said, "Well, I just got married, and we bought a house, and we have cars and car notes, and we're putting life together." And he said, "I think you're stressed. I think
Mm-hmm.
that this is because of stress." And I went home that evening, and my husband said, "Well, what did the doctor say?" And I said, "He thinks that I'm stressed." And he said, "Well, you're doing all this stuff." He didn't even, I don't think it even occurred to him. I mean, because he thought I was just doing, this is what she do. So she like to do it. So, I'm gonna let her do what she do. But he's like, "I don't care about all of this. You don't have to vacuum every day, and you don't have to cook every day. If you don't feel like cooking or whatever, just tell me. We go buy something and bring it home and eat it or whatever. You don't have to do all
Mm-hmm.
this." And so I was like, okay, I thought I was being the wife that he wanted, but we never had a conversation about
Mm-hmm.
what it was
Mm-hmm.
he wanted. So I think if anybody's taking anything from that, that would be one thing I hope you take amongst many things, because he's dropping these nuggets. He's stepping on
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of toes, slapping people upside the
And
head. He gonna have to quiet his social media and everything because of it. But
mhm,
that's something I hope that you're also taking away from here, is to have the conversation that sometimes wives or husbands, you may be being the spouse that you think your spouse wants, and that may not be the case. It may not be
Right.
the case at all. Um, you mentioned this big dinner that she cooked for you on Sundays. Well, on the opposite end, I didn't cook big meals on Sundays, and my husband was used to that because his mom cooked big meals on Sundays. And we were
Right.
at a small group thing. There was a thing for couples and everything. And he made mention of this, not in a negative way, because I didn't take it as a negative. And I very seldom take anything as negative. I take it as all feedback. I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to listen. I know that's not the case for everybody, but I would caution you, take some of the feedback that your husband or wife is giving you, and don't
mhm.
take it as intentional,
Or personal. Mm-hmm.
personal.
Right.
Yes, exactly. But he made mention that my mom cooked big dinners on Sundays, and that's what I'm used to. And I would like that. And I asked him, I said, "Oh, is that what you would like?" And he said, "Yes." So guess what? He don't care if I don't cook none of the week.
But your Sunday meals, I need
But if
that.
but if I can cook that Sunday meal, I'm making an investment that he finds valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
I would say find what the person finds valuable and make that investment. I could be doing all this other things, and that ain't adding nothing to the bottom line. He don't see that as valuable. I see it as valuable. But if I cook that meal on Sunday, baby, I done did something. I done made an investment in him that he really sees, and I can get we both get the benefit of that. So
Right.
that was to your point. I don't know if you have any feedback to come from that, what
No,
I'm
man.
sharing. Okay.
No,
Well,
you hit it perfectly, and I love
Yes.
the examples. You hit it perfectly, and that is so important. We don't. I wish the church did a better job teaching on marriage.
mhm.
Uh, Unfortunately, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's so much that the Bible has to say about marriage. Um, I ask a question sometimes. Name one good marriage in the Bible by our standards, right? What's one good
Mm.
what's one good marriage in the Bible? And people run through all the marriages, and none of the marriages were a good marriage. And then some people say, "Well, Christ to the church." I said, "But he had to die for her because she was reckless." So name one good marriage in the Bible, right? Um, but there's two versions that exist in the Bible, and this is where I think the church has gotten it wrong. We focus there's the version of marriage that was pre-fall, and there's the version of marriage that was post-fall. Everything that God wants out of marriage is to get us back to the garden state of marriage. But what
Mm.
we teach and focus on, wives submit to your husbands, and husbands love your wife. All those things are important because they speak to order.
Mhm.
Order was in the beginning as well.
Mhm.
Order was in the beginning as well. It's just that it was more of a cohesive partnership. It was not two individuals trying to live out these separate things. It's two individuals who understood they had to be one. So everything in marriage that God wants out of marriage is to point us back to the garden version of marriage. In the
Mhm.
garden version of marriage, what should have happened? So I ask this question sometimes when teaching. I say, what would have happened if Adam said, what would have happened if Adam didn't eat the fruit? And most people will look and say, we don't know. It's like, yeah, we do. We do know what would have happened because the second Adam said no. The
Mm.
second Adam was offered the fruit. The fruit just look. All the fruit is will you do something different than what God has told you to do?
Mhm.
Mm.
That's all the
Mhm.
fruit is, and it shows up in our lives every day. The fruit is offered to us. Will you do something different than what God has told you to do? When Jesus was in the wilderness, that's what the devil came. He attacked his hunger, right? He attacked
Mhm.
his identity, and then he tried to discover if he had any pride. So he said, if you hungry, turn these stones into bread. Jesus like, nah, I'm not doing that because I'm gonna live off the word of God. He like, okay, if you be the son of God, identity. If you are, prove it. I ain't gotta prove nothing to you. I know who I am.
Mhm.
Okay. Then how about this? How about this? If you would all but worship me, I give you the desires of your heart. I give you everything.
I already got it.
I already got it. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Yes.
So now individuals get attacked with that, but your marriage every day is like, hey, I know your marriage thirsty. It's hungry. I got something to offer you by form of a woman, a job, a career, something. I got something like, nah. We're gonna let our marriage be guided by God. Okay, then. Well, if that ain't gonna work, is God really calling the two of y'all together? Look, y'all don't even match. He messy, you clean. He like to eat, you don't like to cook. Nope. This is who God said we are together. Oh, okay then. Cool. How about y'all be this power couple, and I make everybody look up to y'all as long as y'all worship me? Nah, we good. We gonna worship God. We have to understand when it comes down to marriage and really being sticky, right? That glue, sticky in
Mhm.
marriage, is that if our marriage is not submitted to God, then we have a problem. What we have, a lot of churches, unfortunately, are teaching, not maliciously, I just think out of ignorance, what I
Yeah.
call a Jesus plus marriage. You need Jesus
Mhm.
plus these societal structures. No, I need a Jesus only marriage.
Mm.
I need a Jesus only marriage. And a Jesus only marriage looks so much different. It looks so much different.
Mhm.
Mhm.
When when we went through our darkest moment in infidelity visit, um, and my wife can talk about it because it's on her part, and we talk about it with couples a lot.
Mhm.
Is before it all got exposed, God said you can build or destroy. He kept whispering to me. Didn't know what he was talking about. He talked to me for a year. And when everything came out, um, I absolutely wanted to take lives. And God said, you can build or destroy. I said, okay, God.
Mhm.
Now, the one thing that God told me is you cannot bite the same fruit. You can't go for revenge. You can't go and tip out yourself, because the moment you bite the fruit is when everything will fall apart. But if you will allow me to build through you and y'all, you allow me to build through you and through y'all, then I promise you, you will be blessed because you didn't bite the fruit.
Wow.
Mm. I love that.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have to always be infidelity or whatever, but I guarantee you, every marriage, your marriages, even now, are still offered fruit.
Mhm.
God
Yep.
says your marriage can't take a part of. And what believing marriages have to decide is this: what set of rules will govern my marriage? Is it Bible or is it society? One of the
Mhm.
first questions I ask couples, they're like, "Oh man, you do." I say, "Hold on, first before we talk, can you tell me what set of rules is your marriage living under? Is it Bible or society?" Once they tell me society, I say, "I really can't help you. I share what I can, but everything I'm going to give you is a marriage that lives under Bible."
Mm.
So,
I love that. I love that. So
Wow.
for me, this was so pivotal in our marriage. I read a book by a lady named P. Bunny Wilson. Her and her husband were out of California, and I think they were, if I remember correctly, their ministry was to like celebrities. They were
mm-hmm,
in the entertainment industry and stuff like that. But she wrote a book called Liberated Through Submission.
mm,
That changed my mind and my heart to really like what you're saying, giving it over to God and
mm-hmm,
just saying, Lord, I trust you to
mm-hmm,
provide for me.
Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm,
Um, Let me put it this way: I took the onus off of my husband and I
mm,
placed it fully on God. I said, if you're the source, I'm relying on you to love me and provide for me through my husband. And what that did for me is it took the focus off of me looking and saying, you not doing this or whatever. And I just had total faith in God. Lord, I know you can do this. I'm trusting in you to love me through
Mm-hmm.
him, underneath him, move him out of the way, whatever it is. I know that you're the one who's going to do it. And I trust you to do it. And that made such a change in my heart and my mind towards my marriage and my husband,
Mm-hmm.
because I was no longer looking at the physical part of him and his
Mm-hmm.
ability. Because sometimes we want something out of people that they don't even have the ability to
Mm-hmm.
do,
Mm-hmm.
but God has the ability, and I placed it fully and solely on him.
Absolutely.
Ooh, I love that. I
Absolutely.
love that. Both of
Abs-
you have shared. Just I'm gonna take those nuggets because it's powerful. Paddle, when you talk about I had to become his friend in the season, you talk about, hey, I had to surrender, basically put my marriage back in God's hands instead of me trying to do it. I have to put it over here and say, God, if you called us into this marriage, this is your responsibility.
Right.
What I'm your daughter, right?
Exactly.
I'm your daughter. What this your responsibility? When I
But
perform weddings, I point that out. I'm like, hey, y'all are not making these vows to each other. Y'all know that, right? And they're like, what?
Wow.
I was like, no, you're making these vows to God about his daughter. You're making these vows to God about his son. You're not making these vows to each other. You're making a vow to him. And when you do that, you make God responsible for your marriage as long as you walk in obedience.
mhm.
Yes, walk in
Yeah.
obedience and
Yeah.
following your God-given assignments.
Yes, ma'am.
Your
Yes.
assignments from God, not how you want to do it, but how God assigns it to you to do.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay? That's been a learned process as well.
Yes.
As I
Yeah.
become more seasoned, I really understand being obedient in your assignments,
Yes, ma'am.
the wrath from God.
My wife would love you. She loved that season. She's like, I'm not old, I'm seasoned. I think you seasoned, you seasoned to perfection. I love it.
Yes, yes, yes. Hey, we earned this,
So
man. We earned this.
Y- yes, yes. It's been a struggle getting here, but I'm so glad I'm here. But you
Mhm.
speak to this, Damon, and I think it has a lot to do. And I'm so glad you talked to couples at the very beginning there. Right after their vows or right before their vows or however you're doing that. But it's really about our identity. Once you get clear about your identity in Christ, and that's what it was for me. Is once
Mhm.
got it clear about my identity that I am
Mhm.
God's daughter, that I am a friend of God. He loves me and he wants the best for me. So
Mhm.
once I could just put my faith over there in him,
Right.
just rest in that, it just freed me up to really overlook a multitude of things that I was focusing on.
Exactly. I know a lot of things for me. It's just like, how do I want to react? How would God react?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's never, a lot of times it's not the same. So a lot of times when I want to react how I want to react, I have to take a minute and say, how would God want me to react? Okay, okay.
Dang
I'm
it.
not gonna pop off on this, right? I'm not popping off. So
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
also a learned process, because in the beginning it was popping off, popping off, popping off, popping off, and now it's like, okay, right, wrong, or indifferent. I control myself. I can't control anyone else. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna respond in alignment of how God wants me to respond, and I have faith that He will rectify this situation and just leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that is so important. You know, for me, I think the hardest God said something to me in a season of healing about being a husband. And me and Pop always have these conversations. We talking, and like when I have a conversation with God, it's just like, climbing up in the lap of my dad, or I'm riding down the road and he just kind of holding the wheel and we talking. And he says, son, you're never going to transform into the husband I want you to be until you get rid of that woman you gave me out of your spirit.
Mm.
Wow. Okay.
Often as husbands, and I talk to so many husbands older than me, younger than me, um, that I've now understood why God's saying that. And I'm gonna be completely transparent here. I haven't fully eradicated it,
Hmm.
Mhm.
because there's certain areas where it's still that woman you gave me, right? And
Mhm.
God's like, you got to get that out of your spirit. And I hear it in the voices of men where they find themselves like it's not as pure as just I'm blaming her, but it's like, God, you gave me this woman. I know I'm supposed to be with this woman, but she acting a slam fool, whatever. And he said, as long as your focus is on her behavior and not my
Mhm.
plan, you're not going to be able to execute my plan fully, because you're
Mhm.
distracted. I vision.
Right.
You
Yep.
follow me, you can't even look. You can't even look at me. Keep looking in the back seat. There's this R&B song that called Mirror, or Rear View Mirror, but the chorus of it says, keep me in your mirror, but don't take your eyes off the road.
Off the
Off the
road.
road.
Right. So it's like I gotta remember, like, yeah, you're in the car with me, but I'm gonna wreck if I keep looking over there at you.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I look over here. Oh man, head on collision. No, I got to stay focused here, and I've got to trust
Mhm.
God, like you said, Lucille. I got to trust God that He's got her. I got to
Mhm.
trust. When we were going through our darkest days, God had to say, He had to rebuke me, because I want justice. And God says, listen. And this is even before everything, actually before everything. But God says something. He says, only one of us can talk to her at a time.
Mm.
You choose. Is it going to be me, or is it going to be you? Only one of
Mm.
us can talk at a time. So I
Wow.
had to be quiet.
Mm.
That's the hardest thing. I have that on my refrigerator, knowing when to be quiet.
Yes, yes, yes. It is a hard thing, and so I just had to get it and like, okay, God, mm,
Right.
I got so much I want to say.
Right.
You
Be
don't
all
let
up
me
in your mouth. Be all up in here,
yeah.
right?
You can say, "Okay, God, you don't want me to
Yeah.
speak right now."
You don't want me to talk. Well, I don't get to talk. Everybody else talking while I can. Yeah. It's so I'm like, man, come on, God. But his ways are right. He never fails us. Right.
Absolutely.
So
But I want to
Absolutely.
take you back just a minute because I circled on my paper here. I'll be writing notes as you're talking about stuff. And you're
Mhm.
talking about marriage and having your marriage having a job slash
mm,
purpose. Talk to us a little bit about how people cannot focus on kids to a point that they lose connection. Because the reason I'm asking you this is when my daughter went off to college, so many of her friends, and one in particular, friend, that she didn't even have a place to go home to because soon as they got her off to college, they split.
mm,
And you hear that common. I hear it. I don't know if you hear it, where people
Mhm.
have focused solely on just
Staying together
raising
for the kids.
staying together for the kids or raising the kids, which I'm not against staying together for the kids. I'm really
Right.
not. I
Right.
think people should
Right.
stay together for the kids because you brought
Right.
the kids here, and that should be a
Yep.
purpose for you is to get the
Yep.
kids to a place, and be there, that cohesive unit for the kids. Because
Right.
people will say, "Well, I'm not happy." If there's no abuse or anything going on in the home, I think you should stay together for the kids. If that's
Yep.
the glue that'll
Me
keep you
too.
there, then yes, keep that as a purpose. But
Yes.
what I'm saying in this is that people will get so wrapped up in their purpose being raising these kids, that they lose sight of the relationship that they have with each other. And it's easy to do. My daughter was an elite athlete. I traveled
mm,
around as a chaperone with her. And my
mm,
husband, we traveled to all these track meets and all of this. And so there was a season in life where she was a big focus for us, but we still tried to keep that connection together that, you know,
Mhm.
she's going to leave and go to college one day. And we
Mhm.
need to still be able to communicate and like each other and love each other and have this
Exactly. Oh my
after the
gosh. Yes.
kids leave. So can you speak to that? Because I circled that. I wanted you to be able to speak to our audience about maybe how not to, have the kids become just that mission, that purpose, that job.
right. Whew. Okay. And this all goes back still to the importance of your marriage having a job. Our marriages exist so that our kids have a safe place to come up, but they do not exist for our kids, right?
Mhm.
And what we had to learn is there are seasons. There are seasons.
Mhm.
And you have to prepare for each season. So down here in Florida, we have hurricane season.
Mhm.
Mhm.
In hurricane season, we know when the season start, we know when the season ends, and we know there's certain things you want to do. You want to get plenty of water. You want to have know the evacuation routes. You want to know but you prepare for those seasons. I think what happens for us is we live marriage as if there are no seasons. So
Mhm.
when the kids come, we live it if it's like this one long big season and we never prepare for the next season. Like, hey, these kids ain't gonna be here. These
Mhm.
kids ain't gonna be here at some point. They're gonna have their own life, their own marriages, their own career. They're gonna like, hey. So we have to stay. Our kids suffer if we are not connected.
Mhm.
Our kids will suffer if we are not connected. I'm
Mhm.
gonna start want to stay out later. You're gonna want to always be going with your girls. You're gonna feel whatever that is. Our kids are gonna suffer if we don't stay connected. But it's hard to stay connected when I don't know what mission is. If I don't, so where I want to be very careful when I talk about a marriage having a job is to not people will probably listen to this and they're like, well, what do you mean my marriage has a job? My marriage has a purpose. For us, our purpose collectively for Tamika and I is to reestablish biblical marriage in the earth, to help couples heal from infidelity, and to help couples avoid infidelity.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
our purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of that purpose, that means we have to also show up for our children,
Mm-hmm.
right? We did an episode one time when we were doing our marriage podcast. We did an episode one time, we brought our kids on, and the thing that we wanted people to know is it is not possible for us to serve you if it wasn't for them. So not
Mm.
only do we make sacrifices to serve you, our children make sacrifices for us to be able to serve your marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Mm.
let them talk a little bit about growing up in the house, and we just had some casual conversation with our kids. And so when you have understand your purpose, then it is easier to integrate your children into the process.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
once you integrate them into the mission, you never lose that connection.
Gotcha.
Okay.
You never
Gotcha.
lose
Mm-hmm.
the connection because they're integrated into they're not a side mission. They are part of the mission,
Mm-hmm.
right? So our
Mm-hmm.
kids, when we would do conferences sometimes or workshops, our kids are there checking people in at the door.
Mm-hmm.
They're part
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
they're helping set up and tear down. They're part of the mission.
Right.
They're helping do
Mm-hmm.
slide decks and the bit. So now that they're older, helping produce some of the content and video, they're part of the mission. So I
Right.
think that that's what happens is we don't integrate our children into the mission. So now our kids just become the side mission, and then the side mission becomes the permanent mission, and the permanent mission dies.
That's
Yes.
what I always said. I should tell my husband because we had our first son before we got married. We got married like 2 years later. And I always said, I was like, gosh, what's going to happen when they grow up, go to college and leave? So when that happened, I was just like, ooh, it's
Mm-hmm.
never been just us. We've always had kids from the very beginning. It's never
Mm-hmm.
been just us. We have to see if we really like each other after all these years, or have we just been together because of the children?
Right. Right.
And that was a very interesting time for us because it had never just been us.
Right.
It had never, maybe a few months, but we had that baby real soon. But
I
Mm-hmm.
have a question
it
for
had
you.
never just been us, and it was a nice time. It had never just been me. I
Right.
became somebody's mother, then somebody's wife. Before I even know who I was.
Woo. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that transition for myself as a woman, when my youngest is out doing his thing, and then us as a couple. And it's been some time since my youngest got out and is on his own, but it's just like, oh yay, we still like each other. We weren't together just for the kids. Like you said, they were intertwined in our mission without me even knowing that that's what's going on. But like you say, when the kids leave, it's like, ooh, now what? Because this was our focus, but evidently they were intertwined in our mission.
Right.
Purpose from God.
Right.
And we're loving this being on this other side, just me and just us together and whatever we can do. And for me, just being able to go to Chick-fil-A and have a bill that's $10 and not 35,
That's
no,
real talk.
literally,
Real talk.
how when you have kids and you go to they want this one, they want this, and they're screaming in the back, and you're like, he had this last time, and you get the bill and he's like, what did you order? Like, I literally cried at the drive-thru the first time I went to Chick-fil-A by myself, even if it was just me and my youngest son, because he would need 2 meals, 2 of this. And I'm like, how's the bill $40 and it's just 2 of us? I just got one thing, The first time I went by myself, they were blowing the horn. I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm having a moment.
Patty, you gotta be kidding me.
No, I'm telling you, I've always had kids and I love being a mother. But when you have kids, we went to McDonald's last time. I want to go to Chick-fil-A. I want to go to Burger King. And you go there and you just get used to being in a cycle. The first time my husband and I traveled, we took a bunch of road trips with the kids growing up. It's hard to pay for flights for 5 people. You can get in the car and go a little
Yeah,
bit
you gotta
further,
go in
right?
the car. Mm-hmm.
So the first time he and I took a trip down south, we always stopped at Bojangles with the kids. It was he and I. He got a bucket of chicken and 12 biscuits. And he came in the car and I'm like, it's just us, right? Is this for tomorrow? He was just like, oh yeah, right.
He was on autopilot. He was used to getting
Yes.
That was the oops, what's going on? Oh, sorry,
you
sorry.
back.
Yeah,
You
got
back.
connected. Oh,
You back.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. You come back out like, I got the bucket of chicken, I got everybody. You look in the back seat, ain't nobody there. Like,
Ain't nobody here.
ain't nobody
sorry
here.
about that, y'all. Sorry about that.
No
But
problem.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was real. It was real.
That is hilarious. That
But I
is
mean, we laugh about it now, but I just think about what you said, and I never knew that that's what was happening, that our purpose and our mission for God was interwoven with our kids and involving them. So when they got off and doing their own thing, we still had each other and we liked being together and look forward to what can we do now, right? No
right.
practices, no
Right.
traveling, because my kids did all that, elite travel stuff too. No traveling. Got a little bit more money now. Like, whoa, what?
It's
Yeah.
definitely lighter on the pockets. I love
Oh,
it. Lighter
sure.
on the
Now I
pockets.
have a
Look,
question. Uh, did the friendship season come before or after the kids were you were empty nesters?
you know what? I have to say, we were always friends because even when we connected, I was still in high school. He's 3 years older than me. We always carried it like that. I was always able to go hang out with my friends, even after we were together. And we had our son. He still went and played ball with his friends. We never always had to be up underneath each other all the time.
No,
You
no,
know,
no. I'm talking about when you had that season where you had to recognize, like God said, you got to put the wife to the side. You just got to be his friend.
we
Did
were
that?
friends. No,
Yeah.
we were really friends from the beginning.
Okay.
We
Okay.
were friends
Okay.
from the
Hmm.
beginning because I think, although it was difficult, it would have been more difficult for me to all of a sudden now I'm gonna be his friend when I
Yes.
had been his wife. But I think that's what kept me there because we were friends and I knew him as a person. And I knew that if I knew that I was his foundation, even though he didn't know that at that time.
Right.
And if I had left the marriage, I don't think it would have been a good thing for anybody, but definitely for him.
Gotcha.
So we were friends before, and I think that's what kind of, because it's sometimes when I'm angry or growing up or going through the marriage, I'm like, dang, but I really like this dude. We can be out hanging out, we have fun together, we do
Right.
this, we do that. So that's always been there.
Okay. Love it. I
I
love
love
it.
that. I love that. So, Pat has got some questions for you that have to deal with health and wellness and that
Okay.
type of thing. So,
Let's.
Well, let's see. How does physical health affect emotional intimacy? Because everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your take on that?
I feel like for us, when it came down to emotional health, so I love this, right? So there's like 4 to 5 pillars of intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
And emotional is one of those that often gets overlooked, is the emotional intimacy. In fact, when it comes down to infidelity, the most damaging and destructive of all infidelity is emotional infidelity.
Okay.
uh, because it's hard to get it out. Emotions here sit here,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to get it out of your chest.
Mm-hmm.
And your body is it can pass on, but when it gets down to
Mm-hmm.
here, now what happens from a health perspective in emotional intimacy, to me, and what we've experienced is, as I kind of put on some winter insulation, and you start to have some health things, right? Or and not even real health things. You can't move like you used to. You can't. You get winded. You get stuff. You find yourself getting frustrated with you.
Mm-hmm.
Spouse takes it as frustration with them, and it starts to break emotionally because there's a
Okay.
misunderstanding of what's being communicated. It goes to, oh, they don't like me anymore, or
Okay.
they
hmm
don't love me, but they don't realize that I'm dealing with some things on the inside. So
Okay.
I know for me, and one of the things that we even still struggle at is when when we went through certain challenges, it weighed so heavily emotionally on me because of just how I carry my emotion. Uh,
Okay.
and so health wise, when my emotion or my spirit got wounded, my external body started to break down.
It suffered from that. Yeah.
It suffered from it
Yeah.
greatly.
Yeah.
So I always like to say is wellness is actually from the inside out,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's
Mm-hmm.
not only like what I eat is going like, oh, I got dry skin, put on lotion. No, if I hydrate properly and I eat
Mm-hmm.
the right foods,
Mm-hmm.
I might still need some lotion or want some lotion, but my body was designed to kind of
Right.
lubricate itself and do those things. But I got
From
to
the inside out.
from the
Yeah.
inside out. Same
Right.
thing is true of emotions. And Lucille, you brought it up. Is like when the doctor asks, "Are you stressed?" Y'all were not probably emotionally healthy in that season. You were just, I'm on autopilot. I'm doing all of the external things and such. And so what I think is for me is when my wife was going through a sickness, she had some stuff going on. It was
Mm-hmm.
more difficult for her to be emotionally available
Mm-hmm.
because all
Mm.
that was dominating her mind was, well, what do I have going on with my body? What's going on? They can't figure it out. We're going here, we're going there. And she had to change her diet. And when she changed her diet, her body started to get better and
Okay.
things were good. But there is no emotional availability because she was focused on her external. She was focused
Physical.
on health.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So you and Tamika both love studying scripture together. How
Yeah.
does spiritual alignment support your emotional wellness?
Listen, if y'all could sit in the car for some of our commute Bible studies, when we get into a scripture, we start dissecting that scripture.
Uh-huh. Woo!
That's when I feel the most connected to her, even more so than above physical intimacy.
Okay.
Is when we are
Mm.
vibing on scripture,
Mm-hmm.
it literally transforms the room. Like we have, there's times where we have going to Tampa, which is about 4 hours from us, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll get started. Our favorite thing to do to travel is to listen to podcasts together
Mm-hmm.
and or discuss scripture. And so we'll get on scripture and we look up. We're in Tampa. We have talked the entire way. We sitting there like, and we have a halfway point where we're usually check in like, hey, you want to stop to the bathroom right here? And she's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I do. And then, but I don't know. I want to keep talking. I've been having to use the
Can't break
bathroom.
this up.
Yeah.
Can't break this up.
So, so we get there and it's like we stop and then we rush in the bathroom. We didn't even stop and get those snacks, get back in the car so we can continue the
Talk.
conversation.
I
And
love it.
my favorite thing to do with her is to talk about scripture. And
Okay.
Uh,
it creates a bond that you don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we found. Every time we would get into deep spiritual conversation, almost immediately, somewhere on the trip, we're going to have an argument, a crazy argument that just comes out of nowhere, just out of nowhere. What it highlighted for us is this is what the enemy doesn't want couples to do. He doesn't want couples to have scripture and word as the
Yeah.
center of their being.
Yeah. Constant
mm.
distraction.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am. So, yeah, it draws us closer.
All
Sure.
right. Well, if you could tell our listeners what's one small health habit couples can start today.
I'm a junk food junkie. I'm reforming as a junk food junkie.
Hey,
Uh, my wife loves to bake, hence how I got all of this winter insulation.
winter insulation.
Right. The one small health thing that I would tell couples that they can do that we have started doing, and this actually goes back a little bit to the kid conversation,
Mm-hmm.
is to start making healthier food choices together.
Together. Okay.
Together.
So you don't have the cheeseburger and she got the salad, right?
Right. Right. You have to start making healthy
Together.
food choices together and make it an adventure, right?
Mhm.
Make
Mhm.
an adventure of like for me, my wife is a natural cook, so she
Mhm.
just cooks off of feel, look, whatever. I'm
Mhm.
following instructions. It drives her crazy, so she can't even be in the kitchen when I'm cooking. But I did these salmon bites that
Mhm.
and with some honey mustard on them, whatever, and I did them in the air fryer, and she really, really liked it. So she took them up a notch. But that was a result of her saying, "Babe, we need to make some different food choices."
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I
Okay.
was like, okay, so the journey was, okay, I'm gonna look up some things that I might like and try them, see how
Mhm.
everybody like it. And then we kept
Mhm.
but just turn it into an entire journey together of just
Mhm.
making one little small
One
food
small
choice.
change.
Yeah, one small change at a time. If you eat something fried 4 out of 7 nights, just reduce it by one together. Find a non-fried way to enjoy your same meal. Figure
Small changes.
yes, ma'am.
I love
Small.
that. I love that. You don't have to overhaul the whole meal plan, your whole eating uh thing all at one time. Just make one small
Yeah.
choice.
Slow and
Mm-hmm.
steady wins the race, right? Just
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
one small change after another one. All right, listeners, I'm going to pause here for a minute and give you the wellness minute for today's episode. And strong marriages need strong bodies, calm minds, and aligned spirits. What you eat, how you breathe, how you move, it all impacts how you communicate. Healthy couples just don't talk through conflict, they care for their bodies while they're doing it.
I love
Love it.
that.
Yeah,
Thank you for
Love
that, Pata.
you're
So, Damon,
welcome.
at the end of our time here, um, I'm going to ask you. I got two things I'm going to ask you. The first one is this is what I ask all of our guests. What's one heart to heart questions couples can ask themselves tonight to align with God's design for them? What's one heart to heart question couples can ask tonight to realign with God's design for them?
I think the question that I would tell every couple to ask themselves is God, have we made you a guest in our marriage or the head of our marriage?
Ooh,
Mm,
ooh.
Show us where you sit in our marriage.
Show us.
I
Where do
love
you sit?
that.
Yeah,
I
I
love that.
important.
That is important.
Great
So,
question.
that is a good question. So, tell us about your book, Things We Forgot Along the Way, Echoes of Wisdom. And also tell our listeners how they can either get the book or where they can follow you at. Take this time to do that.
Yes, ma'am. So things we forgot along the way, Echoes of Wisdom, is really the first of a couple of books I plan to do in this theme. So there will be a part two to it. But it's about wisdom I learned growing up, just things that I learned them lessons from the most unexpected places, right? There's a story I share in the book. I'll give you the short version, but read the book and it'll bless your soul. Is I learned confidence from a crack addict,
What?
bona fide crack
You gotta explain that one.
Come on.
You gotta unpack that one, as
Uh-huh.
Lucille would say. You gotta unpack all of that.
I learned confidence from a crack addict, and it really transformed my career. But I was probably 18 or 19, and I was learning to play spades. I wasn't the best spade player, and we were sitting one night drinking, smoking, what have you, and he'd go off every now and again, do what he does, and he was a he would we were losing. Me and my partner kept losing. We weren't winning consistently. And he looked at me. He wasn't my partner. We were playing against him and his partner. He said, you know what your problem is? You don't have no confidence. I say, I don't got no confidence. He's like, no, you don't play with no confidence. He say, you play There's books I had no business getting, but your lack of confidence let me get the book. I'm like, oh, I don't have no confidence. He's like, even when you don't have it, you got to play that card confidently to the point that it makes your enemy or the people that are competing against you second guess
Their hand.
their move. I said,
Mm.
okay. The very next hand we ran in Boston, they get single. The whole time I was looking at him, I said, "Is that enough confidence for you?" Whatever. But I
Yes.
that lesson in everything I do is I do it with confidence. Am I doing this confidently? And I'm not talking about bravado confidence. I'm talking
Hmm.
about a sense of actually understanding what the mission is and
Hmm.
knowing what I'm doing and executing it. And then more importantly, trusting that if I get it wrong, God will correct me.
Oh, I love that. Mm,
Yeah,
If I
mm,
get
mm.
it wrong, God will correct me. Amen.
every time.
Yes.
Every time.
Mhm.
So the book is really about just those little bit of lessons throughout my life that I've learned from different places, and they are things that I carry with me until this day. So the book is available on my website at richclarity.com, and you can click on books and get there, or you can get it on Amazon.
Okay. Tell us about your
Oh,
social
okay.
media spots that you want us to follow you on.
Ah, you can find me on Instagram at the curious, I think it's the architect, curious architect underscore. I never look at my own socials, so it's like, but you can find me on Instagram at the curious architect,
Okay.
um, and you can find me on Facebook at Damon Rich. You'll find me. Hard to miss on that. I'm also on TikTok at the Curious Architect.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you
Okay.
were on it. So I see you on LinkedIn.
Yes, ma'am. I'm on LinkedIn, Damon Rich on LinkedIn all day long. It's a bunch of different lanes that I run in, and so
Okay.
yeah.
And so you,
All right.
besides being an author, aren't you also a speaker and a trainer? I know you talked about your coaching too on marriage,
Yeah,
but tell us a little bit about that, just right quick.
yes, ma'am. So I am a professional speaker. I do keynotes for organizations. Not only on marriage, I do converse about relationships.
Hmm.
Mm.
Like marriage is just one type of relationship. And so, organizational relationships, I talk to people about just becoming better people because at the end of the day, I cannot be a better husband, a better friend, a better daughter, a better son, better employee if I'm not first a better person. So,
Hmm.
that's one of the things that I do in that regard. But I also am an operational consultant. So on LinkedIn, and you'll probably see some updates on my LinkedIn here coming soon, is I am a vendor behavior modification specialist. So what I do is I teach companies how to have better relationships with the vendors that deliver service to them
Hmm.
and how to get the most out of that relationship. And it's a journey with helping. I was recently in Cali and I was just sharing that with some people. It's like if you want better outcomes, you have to develop better relationships with your vendors. And there's an art to that I've been doing for my entire career. Um,
Hmm.
I also just released because I'm learning to relax again. That's the one art I have lost that has had a significant negative impact on my emotional as well as physical because
Okay.
I'm always on, and
Hmm.
learning to turn off uh,
Hmm.
is something that my wife always tells me. She's actually my switch in helping me turn off sometimes. And so one of the things I've done that's been very therapeutic because I love technology. So I'm also a technology consultant, helping people find the right technology. I help people launch their podcasts or the technology around doing their podcasts, their YouTube channels, all of those things. And so I just released it, dropped today, a album using I used Suno to I wrote all the songs, but I used Suno to compose it. And the album is available on Apple Music, it's on Spotify, YouTube Music, and it's called Soul Wounds. and you can find it under Damon Rich Music. If you just search for Damon Rich Music, you will find the album. And Soul Wounds was really more a therapeutic project for me. I'm doing a couple of more albums that just writing my stories and getting them in music form. And you will find Soul Wounds out there and available wherever you can stream music.
Oh,
Okay.
I love that. I wrote that
Okay.
down. Soul
Me
wounds.
too.
And
Yeah.
if you
All
want
right.
better outcomes, you need to become better. I love that. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Damon, for sharing your heart and your message with us and my audience and stuff today.
Yes.
Thank you for reminding us that marriage is sacred and that healing starts when couples care for their whole selves.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
um,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. So, to our listeners, remember, marriage was designed with intention. Restore the blueprint. So, until next time, keep building a stronger and deeper marriage. See you next time.
Until next time.
See you later.